What is up, everybody? Welcome back to another video. In today's video, we are back with another episode of Lions Latest, and today we have some more Detroit Lions news. The Lions have signed another player from rookie minicamp that came in for a trial that makes 3 out of 5. Also, Dan Campbell was recently on a podcast, and let's just say he said some interesting things. So let's get it started.
Up, we're going to bite a kneecap off, and we're going to stand up, and then it's going to take 2 more shots to knock us down. And on the way up, we're going to take your other kneecap, and we're going to get up, and then it's going to take 3 shots to get us down. And when we do, we're going to take another hunk out of you. Before long, we're going to be the last one standing.
Yeah! He's the GOAT! Oh, there's nobody! Welcome everybody to another video. Glad you guys are here. And yes, we got a couple things to talk about in today's video. Yesterday, we talked about 2 signings the Lions made from rookie minicamp. 2 of the 5 players that came in for tryouts. That was Charlie, Elijah, Holder. So if you guys want to go, hear about those 2 guys, we talked about it in yesterday's video. But today I want to talk about the 3rd signing of those 5 players. And this is Alex Brown, the cornerback out of South Carolina State. So we're going to talk a little bit about him in today's video, but we'll get to that in 1 second. However, I first wanted to start off with Dan Campbell. See, Dan Campbell is really entertaining as a coach because he'll give you some off-the-wall answers, just answers that and just statements that you would not expect to see from a coach. He doesn't hold anything back. He just says what he thinks, and it makes for very entertaining commentary, and you love to listen to things that he says. And recently he was on a podcast, brought up the fact that he would like to have a pet lion. Yes, he would like to have a pet lion for the Lions. Put him on a leash, walk around with the pet lion. Yeah, okay, I don't think I'd want to do that. Like, Dan, you walk around, hey, that's cool, you do you. If you're cool with that, I know he's an alpha, so he's probably, I'm just saying I'm not walking around a pet lion, all right? Me personally, like, even if they tell me that thing's trained, I'm not walking around a lion on a leash. Like, no, that ain't happening, okay? You gotta give me a suit or something if I'm doing that. He said you could have the lion on the sideline. The guys were suggesting that, players wouldn't want to go out of bounds, of course, if he was on the sideline. The group was messing up, they weren't doing well with their drills. The lion could just go over there and take a dump. So, yeah. I don't know who's cleaning that up, but have fun with that. So, that was Dan Campbell's idea. But a lion would be pretty awesome. I think about some of those college teams. They have, like, pets, like the Bulldogs, Georgia. They have a bulldog. It's like, oh, that is a bulldog. A lion might be a little bit different. I don't know if, like, we'd be allowed to do that. Like, hey, we're going to bring a lion to this game. Like, oh, that's cool, Bulldog might be a little different. Maybe, but it would be pretty sweet. Can't lie, it would be pretty sweet if we had a lion, an actual lion. I love Rory, but an actual lion on the sideline. That would be like, oh, snap. Like, watch out, bro. Like, that's legit. That. You want to talk about how to get in your opponent's head? You have a lion over there in, like, a cage or something. Like, oh, snap. Like, oh, hold up. Or don't have it in the cage. That would be something. Yeah, that probably wouldn't be safe. But, yeah, that's very interesting. So, yeah, Dan Campbell says some interesting stuff. He talked about the danger of it. Like, a lion could bite your arm off. And then he was asked this question. Would you lose an arm to get your team motivated? And he's like, oh, maybe, possibly. And then they said, would you lose your arm for a Lions Super Bowl? And he said, yes. He lose his arm for a Lions Super Bowl. Now, when I first hear, I'm like, oh, yeah, I would too. But then I'm like, wait a minute, I'm losing my arm. That's actually a really, really tough decision. Like, I'm actually losing my whole arm for a Lion. Like, that's the kind of answer, though. There was no hesitation. He was like, yeah, I'd lose my arm for a Lions Super Bowl. And Dan Campbell gives you that, like, feeling that he actually would. Like, Dan Campbell would do whatever it takes. So if you guys wanted more feel-good, more reasons to be hype about DC as the Lions head coach, because, he gives us all these things to motivate us, then there you go. He said basically that he would lose his arm, I guess from maybe a lion, for a Lions Super Bowl. Hey, I love it. I love it. Dan Campbell always gives us reasons to be optimistic. I just love the dude's energy all the time. Every time I see him, I'm like, yes, he makes me want to bring some energy to the table. But now I want to talk about this signing. I know this guy's got energy. This is Alex Brown, the cornerback out of South Carolina State. This is the 3rd player that came in for a trial out of 5 that has been signed by the Detroit Lions, brought back for more opportunities this offseason. And this is just really cool. We talked about it yesterday, how cool of an opportunity this is for these guys. But now here's another one at Alex Brown. Now, Alex Brown, this is not necessarily new to him. He has been around the league a little bit since 2019, actually, where he was signed as UDFA. He's played for multiple teams. He's bounced around a little bit. But he was a part of the Kansas City Chiefs back when they won the Super Bowl. He was on the Chiefs roster then. He was with the Chiefs for a little while. He was there in 2020, but unfortunately, at training camp, he tore his ACL, so he was placed on IR for the season. And then, of course, he was waived, and now here he is brought in by the Detroit Lions. But he spent time with other teams like the Jets. He played preseason with the Jets. So he's bounced around a little bit. He's been in the league for a few years now, since 2019. And I wanted to take a little bit of a look at some of the film here for Alex Brown. So that's what I did. I dove right into the film. And when I looked at, I started trying to watch his college tape, but it's very difficult to find it. So I was watching a little bit of South Carolina State tape, and I was like, all right, this is cool. But the competition levels are very questionable. So what I decided to do is go check him out when he was with the Jets. So the Jets is where he played preseason ball. He played 3 games with the Jets in the preseason, and he played a pretty good amount of the snaps, actually. At one point, it was almost like he was a starter. He was playing out there against, like, number 1s and number 2s. So, I mean, he had a lot of snaps for the Jets in preseason, but like I said, in 2020, he tore his ACL in training camp, so of course he didn't have a preseason then. So the NFL film that I do have comes against the Jets, and I went through and I watched that, took some notes away from it, and I think there's reasons that he's been with teams like the Chiefs, because there's definitely a lot of developmental possibilities there, but I can also see why it's been tough for him to stick with the spot, at least from watching this film. But again, I want to be fair to him and keep in mind that this is film from 2019 preseason. It's 2021. We're getting close to preseason. So almost 2 years ago. So this has been a while. He could look completely different. I don't know what he looked like in rookie minicamp. I have no idea. I mean, the Lions saw him, though. The Lions know what they saw. And one interesting note is he did play against the Saints in 2019 when he was with the Jets in the preseason, and he played a lot of snaps in that game. So maybe this is going back to that, and they're like, hey, we remember this guy. He played well. We liked him. You know, he gave us, you know, just a good eye test. So we decided to bring him back in. So maybe that's their first impressions of him. I'm not 100% sure. But I dove into the film, and this is a 5'10", 5'11", 172, 180-pound corner. I've seen it fluctuate between the two. He looks like almost 180 pounds to me. But, of course, not a very big cornerback. Now, when you read that size, people say, well, he's probably be limited to the nickel role at the NFL level. And yeah, for the Lions, maybe that is going to be his role if he made the team. However, when you watch him with the Jets, he almost exclusively played the outside cornerback position. He didn't line much at the nickel role. Like, he was an outside cornerback through and through, just like he was at South Dakota State. Now, at South Dakota State, he looked good. Now, but the competition wasn't great. The speed is definitely a little bit different over there. But he looked solid. He looked pretty good in those games. The Lions have some good developmental coaches there, specifically Aubrey Pleasant and Aaron Glenn, that can really get the best out of these guys, that can really help these guys turn the corner. So maybe this is an opportunity for him to turn the corner. He was with a team like the Chiefs for a reason. You know, they haven't had the best cornerbacks, but to stay on a roster like that through there, he was on the 53-man roster. It means something. You know, you earned that roster spot. He earned that spot out of South Carolina State as a UDFA for a team that went to a Super Bowl. That's impressive. It really is. Regardless if we didn't see him in the field that much. He only played 9 defensive snaps and 24 special teams snaps. So he didn't play much, but he did make the roster. And he probably would have been there. He may have been there longer, but he was there in 2020 even through an injury. So definitely you know, some impressive stuff when you take a look at what he's done. So he could be much improved now from this film that I did see. But I think the first thing that sticks out to you when you watch him is the intangibles are there. The intangibles that Brad Holmes looks for, and also I think what our secondary coaches are looking for. First off, the speed is there, the long speed. He ran a 4.44 40. His 40 time was good. His pro day numbers were really good coming out of the draft. But he definitely has the long speed when you watch him play. He can turn and run. He can run deep routes. He can run go routes, and he can stick in your hip pocket. He also is a pretty strong player. 12 bench press reps. At his size, let's say, you know, let's be generous, say he's 180 pounds. That's 225. He did 12 times. That's very strong for his size. Super impressive there. 41.5-inch vertical, so the guy can sky. He probably can dunk, I mean, honestly. And he had 33-inch arms. He probably can easily dunk. And he had 33-inch arms. Plus, again, he's on the smaller side. He's not even that tall. So for him, those are very above average. That's very above average length. Even compared to any corner really in the league, it's above average. So he has good length too. So the intangibles are there. Speed, strength, length. Those intangibles are there with this game. And those are things that you can build off and you can develop and, you know, you can improve. Those are things that you can't teach. Then when you watch him on the field, as I mentioned, there's definitely that long speed to his game. The long arms do show up. They show up when trying to block shed, but they show up in pass breakups, coming down, making plays on the football, contested situations, drawing the football loose. His length shows up. And again, that's something that Brad Holmes specifically brought up when he said, when I'm looking at defensive players, length. I like length. And he has length. So you see it when you watch him play. He plays with a very aggressive play style as a tackler, as a coverage guy, and that definitely leads to some problems. But he does play with a very aggressive mindset. As a tackler, you'll see this guy will lay the boom. He will lay the hammer. Not the biggest guy, but he will lay you out if he's got the opportunity. Not at all shying away for contact. He wants to play physical. He plays an aggressive style. An aggressive style that can lead to opportunistic plays. Also plays with tons of confidence. You know, I think those are kind of two things. When you are confident, you play more aggressive. I feel like sometimes. And he plays a lot of confidence. You can see it. There's swagger. You you can see the swagger in his game when he's just walking around. One thing that I definitely noticed in coverage is that he can stop. He can stop on a dime. Now, the stop start's a little bit questionable, picking up that speed, the acceleration is a little but he can stop on a dime. You definitely see that in his game, which really helps him on comeback routes, curl routes, things like that, specifically in press man coverage. And with his length, his strength, and his aggressive play style, press man coverage looks like a very good fit for him right now in man coverage. Probably his best fit, at least from what I've seen, again, going back to 2019 on tape. But what do I not love? Well, there's definitely some legitimate concerns. And actually, what I took down and noted after watching him is that there's things to like in terms of things that can be developed. There's enticing traits here. There's intangibles. There's things that can build on. And there's a lot of things that you can't teach. And it's kind of like for the good developmental coach, it's like, wow, we have a blank canvas to work with here. But I think there's also, at least from what I've seen on film, going back to 2019, I don't know what he looks like now, there was definitely a lot of inconsistencies. And I don't know if he's been able to garner the kind of trust to have him on the field, give up big plays. Plus, he does have special teams experience and also a special teams ability. He was a special team ace, I believe, back in college, because at college, he didn't start corner till his redshirt junior season. So he was a special teams ace, and that's something that, of course, can translate. So, again, when the Lions are working in Rennie camp, they're going through a lot of special teams drills. That's one thing that you do notice. But what do I not like? Well, a lot of it comes in coverage. First off, he's a very impatient player. He plays with an aggressive mindset. It can lead to opportunistic big plays, PBUs, but it also leads to missed assignments. He's an impatient player. He lacks some of that patience to sit on routes and wait for things to develop, and he jumps and he predicts. And that can lead to plays, but it also leads to him getting burnt. As a run defender as well, he gets impatient there. He tries to shut down, jump on routes, jump down on plays in the backfield, and it puts him out of position instead of staying home. And because of that, there's no one where he was. So he can get himself out of spots because he does play with some impatience. But again, keep in mind the situation he's in. We're talking 2019 preseason. He's a UDFA. He's trying to make the roster, right? I mean, this is a long shot regardless. He's trying to go out there and make plays. He's probably a little bit, nervous. He's probably a little eager. So it makes sense that he would play with this kind of style. So it may not be as much, from what the Lions are seeing now that he's in rookie training camp compared to when he was first coming out of the draft. However, where coverage really concerns me, and really trust him, is that he definitely tends to give a lot of cushion. He gives a lot of cushion because he plays the outside cornerback position. But I think the reason for it all kind of ties together. His short area coverage ability is questionable. Now, where he really can thrive in short area coverage is press man coverage. When he can get up, he's physical, he can get his hands on you. But he does struggle a little bit with that change of direction, some of that quick acceleration to stick out of short area routes, to stick in short area situations. So because of that, him getting up pressing, and if he can't stay physical, he's going to get burnt, he's going to give up space. So for him, he tends to give a lot of cushion. Now, we talked about him having that long speed. So because of that, having some of that getting back into the play speed, and because of his aggressive play style from what I saw, is that he'll give cushion and he jumps on things. And this leads to some outstanding plays, some great pass breakups. He's physical at the point of attack. It does, but it also leads up to big plays because he gets burnt. He jumps on double moves consistently, constantly. He's jumping on double moves, jumping on those fakes, and then he's burnt deep and he grabs, and it's either a flag or he's simply burnt. You notice Alex plays kind of with some zone eyes. He gets his eyes caught in the backfield, trying to read the quarterback's eyes, trying to jump down, make a play, and then he's burnt. And I think that's why zone can actually suit him pretty well. He grabs and just takes the flag. He does have some of that get back into the play speed, but in the NFL, it's a different speed. I mean, you can look fast in college where sometimes you could have missteps here. You can be impatient. You can jump on things when you're playing at South Carolina State. Nothing against them, but he has a little bit of, missed time steps, can get a little out of position, but work his way back into the play. Maybe the quarterback doesn't recognize quick enough. The receiver can't burn him. But in the NFL, that's not the same thing. I mean, you get out of position, technique is everything. I think Melifonwu said that. It's everything. You get out of position, and all of a sudden you could be toast. And that's what happened in the preseason. He was giving up those kind of big plays, and that's where the concern is. Can you really trust him down to be out on the field? Back then, I don't know if you could. Now you may be able to. He didn't seem to have great route anticipation either, kind of like his ability to read routes. You didn't seem to be fantastic at knowing where this is going, but I think a lot of that stemmed from being just very aggressive, trying to jump down on things, make some plays. He does have a tendency to get a big plays, and more specifically, I would say in man coverage. However, in zone coverage, I don't dislike him in zone because he does have good length. He can be a little bit overly aggressive and jump down on things, but when you play him underneath zone coverage, like let's say a cover 2 situation where he's got safety up over top, where he's not the deep guy, and he can kind of sit on some of those shorter routes, jump on things, he looks really nice in those situations because he is very, very jump happy, and he will try to jump and go make a play. In those situations, cover 2 underneath, I really like him in those zone situations. Cover 3 with his length, it definitely could work. It really could. He would still be the deep man and then in those situations, and he'd be playing the deep ball. And it doesn't hurt because he can get up and, contest those contested situations. I actually don't dislike him in zone. I really don't. He does a fantastic job of really reading the quarterback size and flowing with the quarterback size. So I really like him in zone. Man coverage, he looks way more, made better to me, at least from the film, in press man coverage than he did, in any other situation, because that short area quickness was questionable. So press helped him because he could play physical. He has that physical style. Obviously, when you're giving him 5 yards, you're not being able to be very physical. Inability to stick with people using his feet, he needs to get his hands on guys. Shiftier receivers like that underneath can hurt. And that may also be the reason he didn't play nickel like we thought he would based on his size, because of the fact that, yeah, he has that deep speed, but nickel, a lot of short underneath routes. If you struggle to stay connected there, yes, you can be physical, but aside from that, you can get beat quickly. And I think that's where his struggles come in. However, playing on the outside allows him to get a little bit more time to react, to anticipate the things. But still, at the NFL, it's still quick. Everything's fast. But there's things that you can build on. That deep speed, his ability at the point of attack, contested situations, his aggressive nature, his willingness to tackle, shed blocks, length. I mean, there's a lot of things that can be built off of here. I just don't know if it's that polished yet. And it makes sense. I mean, like I said, this was filmed from 2019. He's just coming out of college. This is a completely different game for him. He's trying to earn a role. I mean, it is a understandable making some mistakes, being a little eager as a player. But I don't know what he looks like now. He could look even better now. But I think it's very telling that the Chiefs kept this guy around for practically 2 seasons, one with a full injury, because they're like, hey, this guy's got things that we can develop. With a good coaching staff, this guy's been around the block a little bit. I could see him legitimately have a shot to push somebody and honestly be like a surprise guy that could make the roster this season, depending on how his development looks throughout the offseason, if the Lions are willing to take that kind of challenge on. And of course, he needs to be able to stay healthy. But I'm very happy for Alex Brown. I'm wishing him the best. He's fun to watch. He plays with a great mindset. So let me know your thoughts, comments below. And how does Dan Campbell not get you hyped up? That guy gets everybody hyped up. Thank you, Brian, for watching, and I'm out.